What's up, guys? Happy week 9. I have an update and it's kind of a lengthy one, okay? So, last post was about all these logistical updates, why I chose WordPress and independent web developers and independent payment processing over Shopify, because I want to eventually carry CBD, and apparently there's a conflict of interest, even though it's 2025 with Shopify, and that I had to fix my EIN and that I was awaiting the payment processing application process. That took a really long time. I still don't have a site up and running that's live. I should within about 2 days, thank God, but it has been a waiting game. And so my delays, which were completely out of my control, not avoiding accountability, this is just me waiting on the payment processor, basically led to a situation that I'm going to explain about this grant, and it taught me a really valuable lesson about how to move forward differently in business. So my grant was for $10,000 and it was for 90 days. And a while ago, Fernando, my business mentor, told me, hey, we're coming up on the 90-day mark. Let's instead do a slow and steady drip campaign for you because you have a lot going on and it seems more sustainable. I was like, yeah, you're right. And then I recently reached out with an update, didn't hear back, reached out again because that's unusual for him. And he wrote me back, hey, I've really enjoyed working with you, but the 90 days are up. I wish you all the best. You're going to do great. And here's my fee structure if you want to continue with mentorship with pretty high fees, which I'm not hating on. Like, get your money. But whoa, where is this coming from? There was never a mention of a possibility of losing financial agreement. There was never a mention that the grant money was in jeopardy. Everything was moving along, and when I had asked him to send me the revised grant contract, because it was a $10,000 grant, the paperwork he sent reflected a $5,000 grant. I immediately said, hey, it's supposed to be 10, and he was like, okay, I'll fix it. It's important, but not urgent. So to hear that we hadn't even used this full 5,000, it's supposed to be 10,000, and now where is the money going? It's disappeared. I was very surprised and disappointed. And I was just not expecting this because it was not communicated at all. And so I asked to talk with him and he gave me a call. And I said, I'm hurt and I'm sad because I really didn't see this coming. And I feel like everything between us has been really positive. And so essentially what he told me is he doesn't have the bandwidth to spend the time on the mentorship. And I said, okay, but it was never communicated that the funding could disappear and the $10,000 grant paperwork never came my way. So I thought I was just being patient and not pressuring you. I wanted to be humble and not entitled. I wanted to be thankful, and I was letting you do it on your own timeline, but I completely had faith that you would send it to me, not just end it. So he said, okay, we'll split it. This was my idea that he agreed to graciously. We'll split it into 2. I did one $5,000 grant, the 90 days are up. Now the second $5,000 will come into play as soon as my website is up and running so that we can use it for email and digital marketing, which was the original plan anyway. So I'm very thankful that he was receptive to this proposal, because if he was not a good dude, he could have been like, no, that's it, good luck. And that would have been really shady, but he could have done that. And he did not. And which confirms his character, which is why I decided to work with him in the first place, because I read his energy, like, this is a good person. He has a good head on his shoulders. He's very logical, but he's also got a heart, right? And so it was a big learning experience because my intention was to be patient. And I think it came off that I was being passive, which is a very big difference, because from my view, I had done everything I needed to do and I was awaiting the payment processor and website. Again, still am. And I just said, hey, if you were considering a change in our financial agreement, you should have communicated that to me and we should have talked about this, instead of me operating under the assumption that everything we've ever talked about is still standing and then you emailing me that it's changing. And so he agreed with this and we decided, you know what, we're going to be able to move forward, but I have to buffer the amount of phone calls. I was probably talking to him on the phone once or twice a week, which wasn't a lot to me, but given how many businesses he's running, I understand that that's too much for him. It needs to be bullet point emails. So I can make the adjustment because energetically it has to be an even exchange. Long story short, my takeaways are this. Be more assertive than you think you need to be, because this website should have been up and running. Be more clear on and get clarity on aligned expectations. Even though you think you did, make sure frequently that these are still the expectations that you're both operating under, so that there is alignment. And communicate clearly and manage your emotions, which I feel that I did. But this is part of the learning experience. And so the emotional roller coaster was like, okay, we're good, but I'm getting impatient. This is taking forever. Oh my God, my funding is cut. What is going on? Why would he do this? Okay, wait, this is fixable. We can find a way to move forward. Is this too much? Can I make this happen without his support? Okay, there is a way to keep going, right? So it is a roller coaster, and that's part of it. And at the end of the conversation, he was like, Kristen, he asked me how I was feeling, which I really appreciated. And he was like, Kristen, this is the realest and best talk we've ever had. And this is just part of starting a business venture. So long story short, it has been intense. He's such a cool guy, and I really, really felt caught off guard. I felt that the communication was misleading to get to that point. And if I hadn't have been an assertive communicator in that moment, I could have said, wow, that sucks. Okay, well, thanks. But I said, no, hold on a second. This wasn't communicated. Can we find another route to move forward that works for both? So I'm thankful. It's been a lot, but everyone's a teacher and everything's a lesson. And so thank you guys for bearing with me as this takes forever. And my next post is going to be about the soft launch that we did. Thanks.